Hi, Gabriel here from the NYC Guitar School. I'm here today to give you a primer on sweep picking. So what is sweep picking and how do we use it? Well, sweep picking is a way of playing through the strings. It's very similar to the technique of strumming when we strum through the strings on the guitar, except now we're going to be applying it to a single note at a time. So when we strum on the guitar, we either pick down or we pick up. And we're going to be using the same technique with sweep picking. So let's look at a first exercise so we can demonstrate this. We're going to be on the 3rd fret of the 1st and 2nd strings. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to pick through these 2 strings. We're going to start on the 2nd string on the 3rd fret, using a downstroke, and then we're going to use another downstroke to pick the 3rd fret on the 1st string. Now, I'm using my 1st finger for this exercise, and what I'm doing, after I pick the 1st note, I'm just leaning it back. I'm not barring the 2 together because we don't want the notes to ring out like this. We want them to be 2 distinct notes. So I'm picking that 1st note and I'm rolling across to the 1st string. It's kind of like this rolling technique where we go from one string and we roll to the next string. And as we roll, we come off the previous string. So I'm muting that 2nd string when I move to the 1st string. And I'm using 2 downstrokes. I'm going down, down. So that is a down sweep. Now, if we want to come back in the opposite direction, we're going to use an up sweep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the 5th fret on the 1st string. You can use your 4th finger or your 3rd finger, whichever you find more comfortable. And I'm using an upstroke on that 1st string. So I'm going down, down, up. And now, rather than using a roll on my 3rd finger, which is a little awkward, I'm going to use my 2nd finger if I'm using my 3rd finger on the 1st string. Or if I'm using my 4th finger on the 1st string, I'd like to use my 3rd finger for the 5th fret, the 2nd string. And that's, again, another sweep up. So the full exercise is going to go like this. We're going to go 3rd fret on the 2nd string, to 3rd fret on the 1st, with that roll, 5th fret of the 1st string with an upstroke, 5th fret of the 2nd string with another upstroke. And if you watch my right hand, I'm going down, down, up, down, down, up, up. So that is, in essence, sweep picking. So let's take this a step further and let's start applying it to arpeggios. So I love to use sweep pick arpeggios in my playing just as a way of negotiating the guitar neck in a slightly different way from playing linear scale shapes or fragments. I like how they kind of like dissect through a scale almost at a angle, like a tangent away from if you're playing like horizontally along a scale instead of going. I like to go. They're just a different sound. They contain similar information, but again, you're moving at a slightly different angle through the scale. So, this example, we're going to be starting off based in the key of C. We're going to be playing a C major triad. We're going to be playing the 9th fret of the 3rd string, 8th fret of the 2nd string, 8th fret of the 1st string. Now, we can use the roll technique again, but honestly, I don't really like using it that much because I feel it's hard to control, and sometimes that muted note can still ring out. So what we can do is we can use an alternate fingering. So firstly, let's look at it with the roll. So 2nd finger on the 9th fret, 1st finger on the 8th fret of the 2nd string, 1st finger again on the 8th fret of the 1st string. So 9, 8, 8, all with downstrokes, down, down, down. And I'm rolling from 2nd to 1st string. Now the alternate fingering, the one I would actually use personally, I would start on my 3rd finger on the 3rd string on the 9th fret, 1st finger on the 8th fret of the 2nd string, and now 2nd finger on the 8th fret of the 1st string. So I've gone 3, 1, 2 with my fingers. At first this will feel super awkward, and it'll make more sense to use the roll. They achieve the same thing, they sound exactly the same. But whichever is more comfortable, we'll go with that. I like to use individual fingers, as I feel once I start building speed it gets a little bit easier to control. So that's our first arpeggio. Now I'm going to be pairing this C major triad with a G triad, and we're going to be playing up now on the 7th fret of the 1st string, 8th fret of the 2nd string, and 7th fret of the 3rd string. Again, you can use your 1st finger, 2nd, and then 1st. Again, all upstrokes. So let's put that full exercise together. We've gone C triad on the 9th fret, 8th fret, and 8th fret. All the downstrokes. Now I head back up on a G major triad using my 1st finger on the 7th, 8th fret with my 2nd, 7th fret with my 1st. So what happens if we need to turn around on the same arpeggio? Well, you'll see if we use the example of an E minor arpeggio now, so we're going to be on the 7th fret of the 1st string, 8th fret of the 2nd string, 9th fret of the 3rd string. If we use all upstrokes for this, and if I want to head back up on the arpeggio, I'll see that my pick is on the opposite side of the 3rd string, and if I want to pick the 2nd string next, I have to jump over the 3rd string to get to that 2nd string, and that's super awkward. And for me, that's the kind of thing that would cause a hiccup or issue in my playing. So how am I going to get around that? This is where hybrid picking is going to come in. Now, I've talked about hybrid picking in a previous video, and I've combined it with legato technique, and I really like combining hybrid picking with economy picking, or sweep picking is what we're calling it today, as it's a really useful way of minimizing the amount of movement in your right hand in terms of jumping. So for this example, if I'm going to play it up through the E minor triad on the 7th, 8th and 9th fret on the 1st, 2nd and 3rd string, and if I want to hit that 8th fret again on the 2nd string, I find it useful to grab that note with my 2nd finger on my picking hand, as that allows me to turn around without affecting too much of my picking hand. And also, as I do that, it gives me the momentum to bring my picking hand back up, and I'm going to sweep back through. Up, 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 middle finger, up, up, up. It's a really useful way of approaching sweep picking and mixing in hybrid picking techniques. Now we can do the same thing if we want to work the other way. It's going to be a little trickier if we want to go up through an arpeggio and just keep repeating that. If we watch my right hand on the close camera, can you see how I'm having to jump all the way from the 1st to the 4th string with downstrokes? That's really awkward. So what I like to do, I like to use my middle finger to pick the top note. So here I'm playing a C major 7 arpeggio, and I'm again on the 7th, 8th, 9th fret of the 1st, 2nd and 3rd strings, but now I'm also playing the 10th fret of the 4th string. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick that 10th fret with a downstroke, 9th fret with a downstroke, 8th fret with a downstroke, and now I'm going to grab the 7th fret with a hybrid pick. So I'm going to go down, 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 hybrid. And that hybrid pick gives me the time to bring my pick back up to the 4th string. So I go down, 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 hybrid. Down, 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 hybrid. That's a really useful way of using hybrid picking to negotiate awkward picking hand movements where if you were only going to use down or upstrokes, you might get caught out trying to change direction. So I really like to use hybrid picks to change direction. So let's look at the next exercise. We're going to be playing 4-string sweeped arpeggios. We're going to be combining A minor arpeggio with the G major arpeggio. We're going to be starting on the 10th fret of the 4th string. I'm using my 3rd finger there. then to the 9th fret of the 3rd string, I'm using my 2nd finger there, and then the 10th fret, the 2nd string, again using my 3rd, so I'm going 3, 2, 3 on 10, 9 and 10. Then I'm grabbing the 8th fret with my 1st finger, and these are all downstrokes. Now when I get to this point, I'm going to be coming back on the G major arpeggio. So I've played through the A minor arpeggio with all the downstrokes, and now I'm going to slide down 1 fret to the 7th and greet that with an upstroke. I'm using this as my turning around point in the sweeped arpeggio, so I'm going down, 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 up. And now I'm going to play 7, 8, 7, 9. All upstrokes. Again, when I get to the bottom, I'm going to use my 3rd finger to turn around and slide up to the 10th fret and greet it with a downstroke. So I'm going down, 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 up, 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 down. Okay, so we've looked at playing exclusively sweeped arpeggios, we've looked at including some hybrid picking, but what if we can tie together sweep picking, hybrid picking and legato technique? This is in essence how I approach modern lead guitar, and it's a pretty common approach to playing the guitar in this way. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using a combination of economic sweep picking to move down and up through the strings with legato to allow me to pick more than one note on a string, and I'm going to be using a hybrid pick for any points where I need to turn around. So this first exercise, we're going to be looking at this scale fragment here. This comes from a D minor scale. And we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first 5 notes of a D minor scale. I'm on the 7th fret of the 3rd string, I'm using my 3rd finger for this note. I'm using a downstroke for this. Now, the next 3 notes, I would use a down pick. I'm greeting it, so I'm going 7, 5, 6, 8, 5. But when I get to the top, and I want to play back down through that shape, I'm again on the wrong side of the 1st string. So let's examine how we're picking this phrase. I said at the start my first thought is to use downstrokes, right? And that's great, that's very economical to pick that way. But now I'm on completely the wrong side of the string from the 2nd string, which is where I want to grab it. So we have options here. Let's think about what's happening on the way back up. So if I'm starting with an upstroke on that 5th fret, I can actually grab all the notes either by picking, or pulling off, or picking. Which sounds great. So I'm going 5, 8, 6, 5, 7. With a pick, pick, pull, pull, pick. Up, up, pull, pull, up. Okay, so that's the second half of the exercise. That sounds great. But what does that mean for the start of the exercise? If that is how I want to do this, I should start with an upstroke on that 1st note, because if we're looping it, that's how it's going to be starting with an upstroke. That means I'm on the wrong side of the 3rd string to get to the 2nd string, so I'm going to use a hybrid pick to pick that 5th fret. So I'm going to go up, hybrid, and in that hybrid pick, that stroke gives me the time to bring my pick all the way over to the 1st string to sweep through. So I'm going up, hybrid, hammer, hammer, up, 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 pull, pull, up, hybrid, hammer, hammer, up, pull, pull, up, hybrid, hammer, hammer, up, pull, pull, up. And to me, that is the most economical way of picking through this particular fragment of a scale. It's going to be really useful to think that way, because sometimes we always see that 1st note and we think that's going to be a downstroke. So re-examining the contour of a phrase sometimes allows you to pick a more economical way of picking through it. And in this case, it was starting on an upstroke, which at first will feel slightly unnatural, but when we think about the contour of the shape, it makes the most sense. So let's take this shape and move it around. So we're going to use the same picking. I'm going to play up through that same shape. We're going 7, 5, 6, 8, 5. But now I want to combine that with another shape. So I'm going to move to the next step in the scale. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in the scale degrees. Or notes, we're going D, E, F, G, A, G, F, E, D. And I want to move to the next note in the scale, so I'm going from D to E, and I'm going to go E, F, G, A, B. So I'm on 9, 6, 8, 10, 7. 9, 6, 8, 10, 7. Again, I'm using the same picking, I'm going up, hybrid, hammer, hammer, up. And coming back the same way with a up, pull, pull, up. Let's look at the first phrase. We're going to go up. And instead of finishing on that D, I'm going to use that as my chance to move up to the E. So you get this nice note doubling effect. And the way I use my fretting hand in this, you can try and reach with your third finger. That's a pretty big stretch. So I like to go first finger, fourth finger, and I'm using my fourth finger to pivot to that next scale shape. So I'm going first finger on the 5th fret, fourth finger on the 9th fret. And then my first finger moves up to the 6th fret for that next scale fragment. So we've gone first scale fragment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, double but on the 3rd string. And then we're going to go back down to the D to go up to the next scale shape. And this is something we call like a false fingering. It sounds kind of like when a saxophonist plays the same note, but with 2 different fingerings, and you get that kind of nice like difference in intonation. It's a really common like fusion technique, like Alan Holdsworth, Evan Marion, those kind of that approach where you get the note doubling. I really like that sound. It's a really cool texture that you can use in your own playing. So hopefully this was useful. Hopefully you were able to practice some of these licks along, trying to play them to your own playing. I really like taking these ideas and applying them to different scales. So for example, you can take this and you can keep moving it up through the scale. And you can really experiment with the different sounds and textures you can get. I just want to say a huge thank you for checking out this video. If you've made it this way, all the way to the end, please hit that like button, leave a comment if you've got any questions about any of this. I love hearing from you guys, and I love responding to any questions you leave. I always try my best to get back to them. I want to say a huge thank you for myself, Gabriel, and the New York City Guitar School. We're teaching virtually individual classes, group classes, production, songwriting, all kinds of things. If you got any questions about anything, again, comment, email us, or call the school. And hopefully I'll see you again next time. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon to receive notifications, and again, thank you so much.